Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 130. 3 tremendous reasons to include Makerspace this summer. Oh, summer is such a great time to enjoy life, and that can include learning. I think it is so important for teachers and students to refresh, recharge, and open their minds for regrowth. That's why learning needs to be an adventure in the summer. And for most teachers and students, they are so bone tired. And was such a tiring year in 2021, this school year. So learning needs to feel as much like play as possible. Whether you're teaching a summer camp, summer school, or spending time with your own little one, there are some tremendous reasons to include Makerspace. I hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey! Okay, so we're talking about summer Makerspace and maybe why you would want to include it. Let's dive in. The first tremendous reason to include Makerspace this summer is Makerspace is engaging and fun. Now, I love how Makerspace can bring science and engineering topics to life. Makerspace really gets kids building and creating and testing out ideas. I also love how easy it is to integrate great literature into Makerspace. For example, there is a really fun book called Ricky the Rock That Could Not Roll, and it talks a lot about, it's fiction. However, there's so much that you can do when it comes to rocks and soil using this book. So first of all, you read the story, you read it out loud, and it's about a rock who can't roll, and you may even decide to incorporate some close reading strategies, like maybe you're going to go deeper into the text. This book really works well with character development, problem and solution, vocabulary, point of view, because it's being told, around this rock named Ricky, but what would it look like if it was told from another character's point of view, or what does it look like because you see more of Ricky's perspective, although it's not written in the first person. So, you can talk about that too. There's just so many good things you can talk about with this book. It's a really cute story. And then next comes some science aspects. And this is where kids get to take a collection of rocks that they find and categorize them. You allow them to come up with categories, like you may even, offer them for example, you might show them some things that are similar and different. You might do a modeling of this first where you're talking about like large and small rocks. And then you allow them to actually start grouping them according to their own labels. And that, has them really understanding characteristics of rocks, which is actually a second grade standard. So it helps in that aspect. You can also work on force and motion with this book, like push and pull. Gravity are some science elements that work well with this story. And I love to give kids a Makerspace challenge and have them create a solution to Ricky's problem. You really want to allow these solutions to be very open-ended so that kids come up with their own solutions to the problem of Ricky not being able to roll. Because you're not creating a craft experience. You're creating a Makerspace challenge going through the engineering design process. So you want to let kids come up with their own solutions. You want them to plan the solution. You want them to do some brainstorming. They might even write it down or draw a picture to make a sketch or an illustration. And then you want to give them a chance to build. You might want to limit their materials if you don't have a ton to choose from, or you might want to be like, go for it. Whatever works. Do a MacGyver type of challenge and let them kind of find out what kind of materials they have around the house in order to create a solution for this rock. And I love that part of it. And then you're going to get like such a different level of solutions. And it also has to get kids thinking, because they have to think about why the rock isn't able to roll and what they could do to facilitate that. And it's a perfect way for kids to productively struggle. So it might be a little bit more difficult for kids to figure out right away if they can't, they're trying to push it, let alone they're realizing, oh, it won't just go, it won't roll. So I think that's fun. I have this particular Makerspace in my shop. It's a Makerspace moment in literature. And this is actually one of my like STEM Makerspace ones because it focuses heavily on science and engineering. So I think that makes it really fun. And I will link to that in the show notes so you can grab it if you want to, or you can just use some of the ideas I just talked about and create your own like Makerspace moments in literature with that story. It's really fun. Okay, the second tremendous reason why you should use Makerspace in the summer is because Makerspace allows children to discover new ideas and solutions. That's so fun. This is another one of my favorite Makerspace moments over the summer, and that's using the story Roller Coaster by Marla Frazee. Frazee. I think it's Frazee. This book is really good with like onomatopoeia and sentence structure, and you can do some close reading with it, and then you're challenging the students to create a roller coaster. They're creating a model of a solution that already exists, but they're improving upon the solution. So they're still really focusing in that engineering design process. And I have this Makerspace moment as well using a roller coaster challenge in my shop on TPT. It's actually just a challenge. I don't have the Makerspace moment in literature with this, but I do have a roller coaster challenge. It's so fun. No, you know what? I do have the Makerspace because I remember doing the vocabulary words for this one. So yes, and it's really fun for kids. And again, you don't need this resource. You can totally make this work without the resource. You give the kids the opportunity to discover how things work like roller coasters. You allow them to better understand scientific principles like force and motion or velocity, things like that. And they're understanding gravity, they're understanding the pull, they're understanding like even speed and how that impacts being able to like take a turn really quickly or even go upside down. Like how do people not fall out? And so that part is really allows kids to dig deep into those scientific principles and better understand how they work and how people create roller coasters. And roller coasters are so fun for the summer. And then finally, tremendous reason number 3, Makerspace is creative. This is one of my favorite parts. I love to watch the creative magic happen when kids are building and creating, like especially when they're creating like the supports for Ricky or even the roller coasters. And during that roller coaster challenge, they're using cups or they're using I let them have a little bit more flexibility with the materials in that one because it's hard for them to think at first like what they can use. And using those red Solo cups is really fun because then you can cut them and you kind of have a little bit of the sides as well, and that's really fun. You can also use like paper towel rolls, but watching them get creative, like having them actually think what supplies they're going to use is a good way to have them productively struggle a bit because they have to think about what's going to work for that. Another fun creative challenge for the summer is I have my kids create a pool, and they have to do that in one of the summer Makerspace challenges that I have. And they're using materials, and they're having to figure out what's waterproof and what they can use to keep and seal water inside of a container and allow it to sit for at least a specified number of minutes. And it's really gets them thinking. It's so fun. And I have actually bundled my Makerspace for summer activities for you for the summer. So if you want to grab those, you can find them in my shop on TPT, and it will give you some fun activities to do for the summer with your students if you're teaching summer school or with your little ones at home. Engagement, fun, discovery, creativity, all of this helps kids fall in love with learning and thinking. And for me, that is what this really is all about. I hope this short little episode gets you through the summer and helps you think about some things that you could do. If you are intrigued by Makerspace, you might want to think about joining me this summer, or you actually might want to think about creating a makerspace in your classroom for next year and then joining me this summer to get started. I have a free Makerspace getting started kit, and that you can use that for your classroom this year, and you can grab that at TrinaDebery.com/Makerspace kit. I think that's it. I'm going to link to it in the show notes. I think it's Makerspace kit, but now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm not 100% positive. So you might have to go to the show notes for that one and grab that freebie. But I do hope that helps. All right, people, this One Tired Teacher is feeling like relaxed a little bit because I have come back from my Oregon trip and I had so much fun. I can't wait to tell you a little bit more about it next week. So I will talk a little bit about that next week. All right, until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.